dragons dance, and men are like dust under their feet. We march now toward our annihilation.
While you have mustered an army, Rhaenyra has faltered.
Pretenders raise new riders against us. I need you to fly with Dreamfire to battle. We will answer outrage with outrage.
There will be no mercy!
What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the For Your Consideration podcast. My name is Tyron. The D is silent. Walker. And of course,
I kind of like that.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah.
And I'm joined alongside by my trusted. You're laughing at that?
Just keep going.
I thought, all right, I'm sorry.
I can't laugh now. Oh my gosh, I gotta censor my laughing.
Yeah, I'm gonna put bleeps all over you every time you laugh. It's like I'm not making that work for myself.
And I'm joined alongside by my trusted friends and colleagues. To my left, we have
The Dan the fan, but not that type of fan.
Quillen fan.
Not an FAN.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Anyway.
What's up, world? And to my right, who's on a who's remote, who's on a computer because she doesn't want to, move here.
Be here in Jersey
Yeah,
anymore.
Oh, expensive behind Jersey. God forbid.
It's not like Virginia is like.
It's a little bit better.
Okay.
It makes a difference.
I live in South Jersey, which is less
Yeah.
expensive. It's less expensive than North Jersey.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
but yeah, you want to say to the people who you are, who don't know who you are?
My name is Merks.
All right,
That's all you
we're
got?
gonna go with it. I thought there was more.
That's all you have.
I thought there was more to it.
No, hello, good evening. Happy to be back. Last week I felt super awkward and uncomfortable doing it all by myself. It felt weird. Like I was just like, oh, I'm talking to myself.
It felt anticlimactic. Oh, like this
Oh, God.
episode.
Yeah, I was going to text y'all when I finished the episode Sunday because I'm like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, so we're back here reviewing the last episode of House of the Dragon, episode 8. The queen who ever was. Not the queen who never was, but the queen who ever was. And I'm not going to bury the lead. I mean, we'll get to like everything that actually transpired.
For sure.
But I do think we just got to openly talk about our feelings regarding this episode, the season finale, which didn't, like, if you're just asking me, like, did it feel like a season finale? It didn't. It felt like an episode 8 of the season. It felt like there should be like 2 more episodes or at least another episode to go.
Yeah.
And except, I felt like if it was just another episode, I'd be like, oh, it was cool. But the fact that this is the season finale, the fact that we have to wait 2 more two more years. We have to wait till 2026 for the next season. The fact that this episode just felt like it was sort of almost the same thing, like as we've been getting in previous episodes. I mean, there was some closures to certain things. I guess Daemon's storyline this season.
Liked his arc. I do like his arc.
I did.
No, I liked his arc, but I mean, I'm saying some of these arcs got wrapped up this season. I felt like many of the arcs didn't really close. I guess maybe the relationship between Alicent and Rhaenyra,
I think the worst arc in the season is clearly Rhaena. And
we'll talk about her, but
talk about a botch in every way.
We'll talk about that, but I'm just saying, like, my overall, like, I felt very unsatisfied with
I
this.
feel just very conflicted because I thought it was a really good episode.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't a good episode. I'm saying for a season finale, it was super underwhelming.
Of even like last season.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And it wasn't until this episode that it really struck me that, oh, wow, the writer's strike may have really impacted this season more than I thought it would.
Well, I was reading an article, I think it was in a Hollywood Reporter, talking about it, but they didn't really feel the effects of that because most of the actors and everybody were not involved. They had different representation
Okay.
than most of the Hollywood actors. So they were still able to film during, the strike. So
Wow.
what I read online was that this was more of
Pulling back
HBO.
the budget.
Yes, this was more of a budget
Well, you felt that
necessarily
too. Yeah, for sure.
issue this season. The fact that the battle was actually supposed to happen this season, they moved it to next season. And there's also like, look, we went from 10 episodes to 8 episodes, and they're still going to continue that model moving forward. And I also read in the Hollywood Reporter that there's only 2 more seasons left. But I'm also feeling, because if in the books, this sort of would have been wrapped up by now. We would have gotten a conclusion.
Yeah.
I do partially feel like they're kind of dragging the story out a little bit here because of the fact that they were forced to move the battle from season 2 to season 3. And some storylines I feel like are just
being elongated.
being elongated,
like
because
Daemon and Harrenhal and
because in the books there's not enough material there, so now they're
right.
forced
They're
to
filling the gaps. Yeah.
they're forced to fill in. They're forced to fill in now I
The
can't
collapse.
the collapse. They're forced to fill in the gaps, just like, and also they're trying to draw this parallel between House of the Dragon and the Game of Thrones, because a lot of people watch Game of Thrones. A lot of people didn't necessarily read the books, because in the books there is no direct parallel between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. There's Daemon never has these visions at all. The talk between Alicent and Rhaenyra doesn't happen. This dream that where Viserys is talking about the Song of Ice and Fire and that doesn't happen. So there you see that they're also trying to make this connection too. And I also wonder if that's also hampering them as well, that they're sort of writing themselves in the corners because they're trying to draw these parallels between.
Well, I
Game of Thrones
commend them for that, because I feel like you need that tie, especially with Fire and Blood being like just a. Fire and Blood was never supposed to link, like you said, link to Game of Thrones really in that way at all, besides being, Targaryen lineage.
Yeah, and history.
And yeah. So the fact that they're doing everything they can to like kind of tie to Game of Thrones, I actually kind of liked. I did like that Daemon scene with the visions and all that. We'll get into it.
So what is the story of it's Fire and Blood, not Fire and Ice?
No, George, the book is called Fire and Blood. That the show is
Okay.
based off of. It's called Fire and Blood.
Okay, but the Fire and Blood is about the Targaryen
Kings. Yeah, it's basically the history of the Targaryens, basically.
but it has nothing to do with the actual. Like they didn't.
There's
I guess it's relevant, right? Because it's still a buildup. Like it's still supposed to be Daenerys's.
Yeah, we're still dealing with the Targaryens here,
history.
so like, yeah. So I actually like them imbuing like Helena and Daemon with this kind of knowledge of eventually what will be Daenerys.
Yeah. To
with
help
the
him understand
dragons,
his role. Because otherwise, like, what do you do with Daemon? I guess you just kill him off.
Yeah, and exactly, and it's really pivotal for him to have that, and then go to Rhaenyra and be like, "Hey, I saw you. Actually, saw you, not your younger self, like you as a person
true.
right now, and you were on the throne, and this is your moment, and I gotta give you your homage, and gotta serve you,
I just kind of wish that, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but if there's a series of books just to support the Targaryen history, I wish that they would dedicate the series to kind of extrapolating on each of those um what's the word? Just each of the books. Like season 1, okay, we're talking about Rhaenyra and her rise to power. And then season 2 could go into like the next era, whatever next generation that there is. Like I wish it was more dedicated to that, so you could learn more of the history versus like having so many seasons just focus on this one particular story. I don't know if that could be a possibility.
I don't know if there's enough content for that.
I mean, but
I don't know if there's
what
enough
would be the
content.
difference if they're adding so much to this season, for instance?
Well, would
Like,
it be entertaining?
I think for me, it would be like I think they could separate these. I do kind of agree with Tamika. Like I think there's a long time. Well, you just know the history of the
There's a lot of lore there.
There's a lot of lore there, but they can skip around a little bit because there is a gap between the Targaryens coming over here. When I say coming over here, but coming to Westeros
Right.
from the Doom of Valyria, because there are some there are some rulers, I guess, in between there when they're on Dragonstone, and then you get to Aegon's, dream and him conquering the Seven Kingdoms, and I think that could be Aegon's conquest can be, and I think they are talking about making that into its own separate thing, and then you go into the other. Yeah, and then you go into the other Targaryen kings, because then you go into, I don't know the specific order, but then you go into Aenys and Maegor the Cruel and the kings in between before you get to this whole battle with Rhaena. And you can even do after the fall of, well, we all know where this is going. we after all this transpires, because even though we know that there's no more dragons, the Targaryens are still ruling. So there's plenty of stories to tell here, and I think that's why there's going to be so many spinoffs that they're talking about and doing cartoons and things like that. I can't wait to actually.
Yeah, but are you going to lose
animation.
people by the time you get to those spinoffs? Like when I think about it, like I think of Power and like what 50 Cent attempted to do with the different spinoffs, and it's like, okay, but did it become like overwhelming at that point? Was it too much? At that point,
it almost feels like those stories should be like in this series and just like kind of like
right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think they should have just. I think the thing with the book readers I think out of those stories though in the book, this is probably the most entertaining of them all. Like this is probably the one that book readers were probably most looking forward to. But there's definitely a lot of lore there, and I think it would help clear up some of the confusion that people, because I talk to people all the time that are kind of confused a little bit about like how everything is like transpiring,
tied,
because one of the things I was talking to my coworkers about is just like one of the things they keep they say is like, oh, Aemon's the Night King. Like Aemon is not the Night King because they're drawing this like. They're like, oh, Aemon looks like the Night King. He has the white hair and all that.
That is interesting, though.
That is interesting, but he's not the Night King because if you remember, they told us they didn't tell us who specifically it was, but they did show the creation of the Night King in the original Game of Thrones series, and it was not a Targaryen. Now, a Targaryen could very well be turned into a White Walker, but the Night King himself, I think it's pretty much dispelled that it's not a Targaryen king. Or
how are we so sure? Because it had brown hair.
Yeah, the one he had brown hair. I think he actually had red hair.
So Jace has brown hair. So what? He could be a bastard son.
Right,
maybe he was cast out.
Now you're feeding it.
I'm just saying, like
as a writer, I think that's a fair point.
If we remember, like. The Night King took control of the dragon. What's his name?
Yeah, I'm saying that there's definitely Targaryen blood in there. Like that, that's probably the reason why he could control. He could definitely well be like a bastard of the Targaryens.
Yeah, that's my hope. That's my hope.
What I'm saying is that it's not Aemon. Like that.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
It's not Aemon. That's what everyone's like. Sort of. They would have to retcon the whole thing.
Yeah, that was you're reaching.
Yeah. If it was
hard on that.
But my whole point was, I think by explaining the entire lore, it would sort of, wrap up some of the confusion. Go ahead, Tamika.
No. To your point, I wanted to ask for clarity. I'm sure we'll get into it because once Daemon has his visions, and he sees I don't remember Game of Thrones, to be honest. And even in those last couple of seasons, I dropped off. So with him seeing the White Walkers, what can you remind me or explain to me how they are related, the White Walkers related to the downfall of the Targaryen and why they lost the throne? Or is that too much to go into right now?
I always equate the White Walkers more to the north, to the Starks.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like they're sort of wrapping this together. They're sort of they're trying to link these two series together. Okay. So they're writing but it to try.
Supposed to.
It's not really like kind of just like the whole, Rhaena going to Pentos with those dragon eggs. It's not really there in the books. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're writing it in a way to try and get people to see the link between Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. That's what I mean,
Targaryens do end up being in the north.
They do end up being in the north, but they are not playing. And what's her name? Daenerys does end up going to help Jon Snow. So it is that fire and ice coming together. And I don't want to even think about the long night.
Let's not go there.
I know, man.
That's not. We were keeping season 8 mostly out of this.
I know. But it just triggered me. Just thinking about Daenerys going to the north to help them fight the White Walkers, and then what's the name?
Well, I was talking more like Aegon, the Maester. Aegon, is that a name? The Maester in Winterfell.
Oh,
what's his name? He was Maester? A Targaryen.
Yeah, he's at the wall.
Yeah, is that at the wall? That's what I meant.
Yeah, he's a former Targaryen prince.
Yeah. What's his name?
I forget his name.
I think it's Aegon.
His real, I believe his real name is Aegon. Now I gotta look it up. Go ahead.
Well, that was my whole point. I don't think it's a reach to have the Targaryens involved in the Song of Ice and Fire in that way. They have the dagger, for God's sake. So, I mean, they are linked. They are linked to the main plot of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, his name is Aemon, by the way.
Aemon, okay.
Yeah, Aemon Targaryen.
Well, maybe that's how motherfuckers getting confused.
He's one of the sons of Jaehaerys. Okay. But no, I know, and I agree, because in Daemon's vision, we also got a shot of the three-eyed raven, who I think is now confirmation that he is Brennan Rivers.
Yeah.
And is also a Targaryen. So yes, it does make sense. I just always, for some reason, just associate the North and the Starks with the White Walkers, because for most of Game of Thrones, it was always Jon in the North battling the wildlings. He was the one at Hardhome. Like, you think about the iconic moments in Game of Thrones, it was always Jon involving with the White Walkers, killing them, finding out was Dragonstone was their weakness and all this stuff. So I always just associated them with with the White Walkers. But yes, the Targaryens are definitely involved in the North and in many respects. But just during the Game of Thrones, it was just an afterthought for the people of King's Landing. They weren't even, they weren't thinking about White Walkers at all. So
yeah,
they just thought it was just a myth. Like they didn't believe any of the stories.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, Tamika, I mean, how did you feel, I guess, after watching the episode or season finale?
I just to kind of piggyback off of what you already said about the episode, it didn't really feel like a finale episode. Like up until like the last 60 seconds of it, when they're showing where everybody is, and then it's kind of that reminder. It's like it's pretty much a staple of season finales where it's a cliffhanger for all these different aspects. And then in that moment, I was just like, wait, this is really it? Like, but wait, there's so much left unsaid. Like, it just feels like this should not be it. Because I'm like, where possibly can you pick up in season 3? Like, you have left no place.
I think they're gonna pick up. I think they're gonna pick up. I think first 2-3 episodes, I think we're gonna get a battle because the way that they ended it, like everyone's marching towards Harrenhal for the most part.
Yeah,
and I think they have to.
I'm sorry,
What?
not to harp on this. They need to. Why didn't they just finish Rhaena's arc with the dream? Like
Yeah, it
they
did
left
seem
that
kinda
up in the
pointless.
air. That's the most. That's my main frustration.
And well, we're on it. We might as well talk about it. But I think Rhaena's story arc is just like really frustrating because she has nothing to do.
Well, they gave her Nettles
storyline. Well,
kind of,
yeah. But they sort of botched it because she has nothing to do. Like she's just more. We see her more as a sympathetic character at this point, mostly because she does nothing. Like I just feel bad for her. Like that's kind of it. Like I mean,
did they have to show 3 scenes of her like just wandering, getting water? Like you're wasting time here. All this time. Anyway, go. That was my main frustration, honestly. Like, why didn't you tie that up? You could have tied that up.
They should have. Like to me, that would have helped if they ended with her claiming sheep stealer.
Yeah.
Instead of just her looking at him eat sheep. That would have been such like. I would have like, all right.
I would have felt something.
I'm like, all right. They've wrapped up her storyline, like for this season. Like she went through all this trauma. And now to see her finally claim a dragon, and it would have been actually cool to see her. It would have been cool to see her, fly back to Dragonstone on a dragon, and hey, look, fam, I got a dragon. I claimed the dragon.
Finally,
finally. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that would have been a very powerful moment. Instead, they just kind of have her thugging and bugging out. See that there, little Teddy Long. That's my guy, man. Teddy Long.
Nice.
She's
like, what are you talking about?
Go
ahead, Tamika. What are you?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure you already know this. I guess the point was just to show her resilience. Like she was ready to die or find that dragon.
That's great.
That's great.
That could have been accomplished. And first of all, when she was like chugging water, that already told me, hey, she's been out here for a long time. She's her damn near on her, death's door, So that scene just in and of itself would have told me that. So they could have just like the next scene literally been like, okay, now she sees sheep stealer, and but they went back to her 3 times.
They did for no reason. It's just like this added nothing to her story.
No.
I mean, I'm like, what are y'all padding minutes to the? You have a time max. You gotta reach. Since it's a season finale. I don't know.
Anyway.
So yeah, I was really disappointed in that.
Yeah, and all that they did and all that they alluded to, even in the previous episodes, it would have been nice just to see, like, even if it didn't go anywhere, even if she didn't make it home, like, let's just at least see her claim whether or not it's going to be, because we're assuming at this point that she's going to claim it and not die.
That's so clunky when you have to go back to it in season 3, and like I'm just assuming that she did. So they're either going to show her just on the back of a dragon, which is anticlimactic, or they're going to show the scene and it's still kind of anticlimactic because I've already predicted that it would happen.
Unless it kills her, in which case we didn't predict.
I mean, she's a pointless character anyway at this point.
Yeah. Damn.
But I don't think they are going to kill her because she is.
No. I think they're going to try and hold on to these characters as long as possible before they end up killing off most of them.
Yeah, but you were saying in season 3 that you predict like the battle.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to get it in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that the showrunner was talking about, was just like, he gave the very political correct answer and saying, we just want to spend the time, taking, we're just giving it the care it needs to make this scene as great as possible.
So he even knew, like.
So that's basically it. What do we feel about Thailand Lannister in the beginning and those scenes going to where is he at? Tyros, and trying to get the blockade, and trying to get and trying to get this what are they called? Well, he gave up the stepstones for the triarchy to get the ships, and then he goes on this. He has to get the
What's her name? Lord Farquaad.
Damn, bro. You really called her Lord Farquaad?
This is the wrong movie.
I
Wrong
didn't mean it
genre?
like that.
I think he was comparing her looks to
No,
Lord.
I actually wasn't. Her name is just like her
No,
name.
it's not.
What's her name?
I think it's Lore. Isn't it Lore? Lohar.
She's
Lahore.
hilarious.
Lord Farquaad. Anyway,
That sounds nothing like Lord Farquaad, man.
I wasn't saying it because she looks like no. I wasn't.
Well, all I know is that she's hilarious, and
She
I
is
enjoyed
funny.
her character.
I
Very
definitely
much.
enjoy. I enjoy the character. It was definitely a departure from kind of like what we're used to seeing
Yeah.
in House of Dragon. I mean, we do kind of get a little bit of it with Ulf, although I think he's more of an annoying character.
Oh my god,
He's
I
so
could not stand this episode for sure.
Yo, I
We'll
was
get
like,
to
take
that.
his tongue, bro.
Yeah.
Take his tongue.
Take his
Yeah,
tongue.
let's get to that.
Uh,
But once again, why are they introducing a new character?
I know that's actually a very good question.
I
Like,
was gonna ask that. I was gonna let Ty make his point and then get to that. Like, why? What? So wait, remind me. Tywin Lannister. Who sent him?
Tylan.
Why is he there?
It was funny
Whatever.
that
that is also very funny that you did call him. Did you do that purposely?
No, I
Oh,
didn't.
that's even more.
that
Funny.
was funny.
Yeah. Why is he there?
Yeah, who sent him again? Remind
Aemon sent him there.
Aemon.
You remember
Remove
a
the
couple,
blockade.
a couple episodes back. If you remember, he sent him there. He was like, "You're a
Okay.
knight, right? So you got to go."
Yes.
Fetch my ships.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I felt like that popped up. I don't know. Because that was 2 episodes ago, right?
Yeah,
Just about.
which is one of those things. Like, I mean, it's very. They do it all the time in Game of Thrones, where you don't see characters for episodes, and then like they pop up again, and you're like, "Oh, you gotta have to like jolt your memory to be like,
Yeah.
why are
'cause I
they
was
there
like,
again? Oh yeah, that's
right.
right. Like two episodes ago, they
Okay.
sent him there to try and
Yeah, I
make
was just
this.
lost. I was like, I don't know why you're here. I forgot.
How about that? I mean, I'm thinking about it from a filmmaking perspective of like trying to film or being an actor trying to film that mud wrestling scene. How would you feel about that?
I was actually, I was watching that scene and I'm just like, oh my God, the mud in places that you do not want mud.
Right.
Like, I'm sure it was very fun,
Mhm.
but also looking at it like, and then you have to shoot over and over and
I
over.
was gonna say you
from
do have to
different
shoot over it, and they
angles.
probably took them like a couple of days to at least.
Oh
shoot.
yeah, for sure. Because it's like mud in your face, mud in your eyes, mud in your mouth. Just ugh,
yeah.
gross. But I would do it. I would totally do it.
What do you think about Larys and Aegon? Larys basically like, hey, look, bro. Rhaenyra, she got like 6-7 dragons now. Aemon's gonna try and take her head. Let's make like a tree and leave, and and peace out. And Aegon is like very depressed. He's talking about his burnt sausage.
Which I was not-
You hear about my
I know.
sausage?
Did you hear
It's
about
split in two.
Like I got nothing, man.
I have no cock.
No, what did he
I
say?
got no
It blew up. What did he
Yeah,
say?
man, he's like
Yeah,
it's split like a sausage. That's
Yeah,
what he said.
said.
Essentially, yeah.
At that point, I don't know that I'd want to stick around either, to be
I mean,
honest.
yeah, I can't blame him.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Larys, he was like, yeah, man, you got a lot to live for.
He's really hyping him
Yeah,
up.
hyping
right, man.
Like,
I don't know what Larys's end game is, but clearly he
Right.
has a plan. I mean,
Clearly.
but
yeah,
it, but it does go. You have to now think about like now the ending of that episode. Where we see the scene between Rhaenyra and Alicent, and we'll talk about that. But where Alicent's like making promises that she knows she can't keep,
Mhm.
trying to be like, I reluctantly will trade my son's head for this all to stop.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Aegon's dipping out of town.
Yeah.
and so, that's going to be interesting to say the
Mhm.
least, how that all transpires.
Mhm.
So yeah, Aegon and his burnt sausage and Larys are skipping town, and I forget where they said they were going.
And that doesn't play well in when Alicent goes to Rhaenyra because I wonder how that's going to end up working out because she doesn't know that Aegon is dipping, but she's planning for Rhaenyra to come in 3 days when Aemon's supposed to be gone. But now with I wonder how that's going to change that or if it'll change it at all. That's what my mind kept going to. It's just like, I feel like this is throwing off Alicent's plans. And again,
I mean,
I don't know if you have any thoughts
Allison
on
is
that.
just shooting for anything at this point. So it
Literally.
doesn't even matter.
I'm so curious to see where Alicent ends up next season. Like,
Yeah.
it's very interesting. Is she going to end up going back to the blacks? Like, is she, like, you know what I'm saying? Because we know that Aegon isn't.
She basically said, "Fuck these kids."
Yeah, but I do think there's some allegiance to her father, who we will also talk about.
True.
It's very briefly,
Yeah,
but he's locked up somewhere.
Yeah,
I've seen some speculation as to who or where.
that was interesting.
Yeah. So who do you, what speculations? Because I know immediately what Darius jumped to.
What did he think?
Well, and I don't know his reasoning behind it, but Darius immediately was like, "Oh, Aemon has him." And I was like, "Why do you say that?" And he was just like, "Well, I just think that he never let him leave. I think they never let him leave in the first place. I think they locked him up."
That's a good point. This is not in the books at all.
No, it's not in the books. Actually, he does make it to Old Town, but we also get we don't see Daemon, but we do see his dragon, and that in montage. Right. They haven't cast him yet. Yeah. But we do know that their brother Daemon is on his way to help in the fight.
And there's another dragon. He has a dragon.
Yeah, he has a dragon. But yeah, I mean, I think that's very interesting.
That is interesting.
I saw what I heard and what people were speculating was that it was Alicent. Not Alicent, I'm sorry. Helaena was the one that locked him up.
I don't feel like that's in
out of
Helena's
character.
Right. I was
like
going to doesn't seem like her character at all.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be surprising. I mean, we see this all the time, like in the Game of Thrones series where like, oh, that doesn't make much, sense for this character to do. And then, then they reveal some information like, oh yeah, it kind of does actually. Once you get more information.
If you think about who she presented herself to Aemon at the end, she did come off a very completely different person at that point.
True.
She did.
And the question is this a new revelation for you, or were you always this way and just presenting yourself as something else to throw the family off, to make it like, oh, I'm just crazy? Yeah,
and kudos because again, I've been somewhat lukewarm on like them trying to draw these comparisons to Game of Thrones and the White Walkers and everything like that. I do commend them for what they have done with Helena's character so far, because I've enjoyed the changes that they made, because in the book she's not very active, I should say.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
Not a factor.
Yeah, basically she's not a factor.
Okay.
At all.
Interesting. Yeah. So you really don't know how it's going to play out based on how they're writing it.
I think that the characters will meet the same endings that they do. I just think the route that we're taking is going to be different from the books. So
okay, interesting.
I guess we got to talk about that beat daddy, Corlys, and his relationship with Alan and Adam. But
definitely a favorite scene for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That was great.
Yeah, I didn't expect that coming from Alan too. Like, he just laid it all out on the table. Like, look, this is why I've been distant, motherfucker. I don't like you. I don't respect you. I barely want to talk to you. Well,
I kind of felt that, to be honest, in that moment, drawing on from my own personal experiences, even throughout the episode. Like, he was always very distant, and I feel like it was a two-play, right? Because his younger sibling, Adam, would say something to him, and it always seemed like he didn't want to say anything bad. But I never took it as it's not because he didn't feel some type of way. I took it as he was trying to do his duty and be honorable despite having been abandoned and not having a father figure. But in that moment, I felt where he was coming from, because he's just like, you showed up out of nowhere. I'm trying to live my life and do what's honorable and be the good person that you did not raise me to be. And you come up out of nowhere talking about something, oh, I'm trying to help you. I'm like, help me with what, mofo? I'm grown. Like, I got here because of me, not because you had anything to do with it. So why do I need your help now? Like, I felt everything in that moment. Like I was just like, I see you.
Yeah, totally
I got you.
validated in his response.
Yeah, I didn't got a lot off his chest.
Corliss tried to dismiss.
Which I'm happy.
I know
he did.
he held on that for a long time. I know he held on.
Yeah. And it was crazy because I was waiting for homie to turn around and be like, who are you talking to?
But Corliss for the most part has been a stand-up guy outside of this action, outside of, fathering, two bastard children. But he even said that's enough. So but and then Alan still kept coming at him, and
it's something he had to hear,
Yeah, so I was gonna say it's something that he had to hear. So
and plus he opened the gates at that point. He's just like, now you wanted to hear it, don't shut me up now.
Right. Yep.
So that's probably my favorite scene out of this whole episode.
I just wish Adam could have seen it happen.
Because he kind of still idolizes him a little bit.
Yeah.
As it being, he probably shouldn't.
What else we got here? Broom, right? The guy that
Alfred Broom.
Yeah, Alfred
Sir
Broom.
Alfred.
This
about
guy
to get got, boy.
Which
You knew when we showed up. You knew he was gonna do that.
I thought maybe there was some sliver of hope that he wouldn't do that, but
which one? Who?
Alfred, the one that showed the
turncoat, the traitor,
the one that Rhaenyra sent to Daemon to ascertain like what's going on, like what are you doing? And this is also a few episodes back. And and so he finally arrives there, and
it's the guy who keeps disrespecting Rhaenyra at the castles.
Basically. So he finally shows up there, and he basically is like, hey, listen, Daemon, hear me out, bro.
Right.
I know Rhaenyra's the queen, but we need a leader. We need a man. He literally did say that. We need a man. We need, someone that's battle tested, and that's you. You need to, basically become a traitor and like go and raise up, a banner against her, because that's what he would be doing. He would be committing treason. Yeah, essentially. And Daemon,
he seems on board.
No, I don't think so. Daemon, I think in that very moment, because at the end of the scene, he's like, I forget his exact words, but he's like something about being a king. And Daemon sort of makes this face like, I'm not sure if that's what I want. Because this whole story arc with him is like being a king, like that's what he thinks that he wants. But then like through his visions, he sees that he comes to the realization that no, you don't, or no, you're not ready, or no, being a king is way harder than what you expect it to be. And so I think in that moment, he never confirms that he's going to do it.
Yeah, of course.
And B, he says, he's like, I never figured you to be a turncoat. And then he just dips off. And shout out to
also did, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, one of my favorite characters in this season, he's a side character, but I just enjoy whenever
Simon?
Simon. Simon.
I was gonna say Simon.
I just enjoy his character. I don't know what it is, but like that's he goes and he's like, he is loyal too, because
he's real genuine.
Yeah, and he goes and sends a raven to Rhaenyra. I was just like, yo, look, you
need to come
over.
Talking.
They over here talking.
you need to come get your man. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Well, and I think this is the lore mystery with the aura mystery with Daemon. When he said, "Oh, didn't take you for a turncoat," but I kind of like that idea, and that was before he had the vision. So,
but he also never said no.
He never said no.
But he has to keep a front. Like I think internally he's experiencing turmoil, but externally he's listening and he's taking it in, and he has to maintain the mask. Yeah. But he never said no. But he also, like you said, we know what he's been experiencing. So he's just like, had somebody said that to him a couple episodes ago, it might have been a different.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely.
We also get a very interesting scene between Aemon and his sister and his mom, who he has become very dismissive of. Like it feels like she is dead to him. Like, he just like walks in. Mother. It just keeps it moving. He doesn't even, he acknowledges her, but he just like, he doesn't
only
like turn.
He has to.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't like turn to look at her. He doesn't make eye contact with her or anything like that. He just he just acknowledges her presence and then just like, I'm here for Helena. You
It's
need
like
to
trying to assert his dominance.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just like, I'm here for her. She needs to hop on Dreamfire and we need to go burn some folks because
But first of all, even talking about that, like, can we just talk about this whole man's demeanor the entire episode? Like, my homie is panicked.
Mhm.
Like, he is trying to keep his composure, but I think it's very clear that he's losing it because he's just like, oh, we got like the whole strategist, like what he's been doing, like very being contemplative and taking things in is out the window. And similar to Daemon, like he's finally getting like, oh, wait, I can't just sit back and clench my fist and think people are going to do something. So I just feel like his whole demeanor is panicked. So even while he's being dismissive of his mother, mind you, look how quick she was ready to get up and defend Helena. Like, you need to back up. Just relax.
Mhm.
Relax.
Well, we didn't even discuss him burning.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a quick scene.
It
there
was.
in the beginning. They didn't really spend too much time on it. I mean, they spent more time on Rhaena.
I mean, they probably should have showed that.
I was gonna say that was probably would have been
That's
at
true.
least some action in there.
Yeah.
They spent so much time jumping on Rhaena, like what she was doing out there. Just
But that is pivotal because you see, like, okay,
He's
he
desperate.
knows he's not
yeah.
invulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's now he's like you said, he's panicked, he's desperate, he's looking for solutions, and there are none.
Yeah.
When you have facing down a barrel of 7 dragons in your face
Mm-hmm.
with 2-1, basically. There's more, but 1.
Mm-hmm. Well, for now, until
yeah.
until homie decides that he's going to switch sides because he's an idiot. Now you just see it happening.
Spoiler alert. I don't think that. but
Does he die?
what?
Homie, what's his name? Ulf.
Oh yeah, I can see him. Yeah, for sure.
That's who I'm talking about.
As we continuously say, all these people, like, we know what's going to happen. Like, I don't feel like it's any, we're spoiling anything by saying that because we know at the end of this, there's no dragons. So we kind of
right. We have to make our assumptions.
Yeah.
And in the vision, there was like just dead dragons.
Yeah, there was dead dragons everywhere.
Yeah, so they're definitely gonna, this
it's just how we get there. It's just how they elect to tell the story, basically, is what we're sort of investing in. Right.
So they all die, but before they all die, he's going to switch sides and work with it.
I think that's a solid prediction for sure. Absolutely.
How about my guy? What a character arc. We haven't really talked about him in a while because they sort of deviated away from him a little bit here. He hasn't got much screen time since the Dance of Dragons. Sir Kristen. He's he got more screen time at the beginning of the season. Obviously, his relationship with him and Allison. But at this point when we see him, he has pretty much lost all hope. He has lost his will to live, so to speak. He is like the dragons, the horror. He's been horrified. He's been traumatized. He's like, we have left this thing up to the dragons. We're marching to our annihilation. You know what? Y'all might as well just kill me now. Like that's essentially what he's saying when he's talking to Allison's brother in that scene.
I mean, they've done the impossible. They've made him a sympathetic
character. They did.
Man.
They made him
accomplished
sympathetic.
it, man. 'Cause I feel for him,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
I'm like, yo, he's going through. He had a great line. What do you say? Like in the Dance of Dragons, were dust, dust underneath their feet.
Yeah.
Oh, great line. Like, just a fantastic line.
Because he was talking about honor and just like being like good people and stuff like that. And you're just like, yeah, no one's really good, in this world. Like,
No. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When they all decide to mess each other up, like we're the casualties. We're the people that don't matter. It's so great.
That really goes to show how insignificant they truly are in the wake of these dominant beasts.
Yeah.
We do get the scene with Ulf and Jace. Jace is in his feelings too, because he feels some type of way about.
And rightfully
I feel
so.
like he's just right.
No,
He's
I get it. I get why he feels the way that he does. He is also in his feelings at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Which his homie girl, wife, cousin calls him out on.
Bela?
Yeah, it's like his they are relatives, but like
Right.
I don't think that they haven't been giving any
any
romantic
sexual romantic vibes at all.
I wasn't trying to suggest that there was.
You just
You
called
said
her
wifey.
You just called her
Well,
wifey.
they intermarry, don't they? That's why I was.
Yeah,
Making
but they
a
have-
Yes, but they
suggestion.
haven't alluded to that at all.
They don't have to for me to
I
make it
guess.
like they marry each other's cousins. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I mean it is a strong likelihood.
I just feel like they're just really good.
Yeah, I just feel like they're really
But
close.
maybe we're
But
wrong.
you're right. Maybe they do
I said
not end
homie
up.
first, didn't I? I said homie, wife, cousin. I'm whatever she is to him, calls him out. That's the
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also get the scene with Ulf and Hugh the Hammer and Adam, and they're all sitting at the table. We alluded to it too. Ulf is like an annoying character. He is. And I guess
From
they
the
specifically wrote him that way. But yeah, from the beginning, from the moment that we're introduced to him, he's not a very endearing character. He's not somebody like I'm rooting for or getting behind. Like, as a matter of fact, I think he may be one of the, as you alluded to, maybe one of the first people to die in this whole ordeal. Or maybe he's one of these people where he's just like,
He might have cockroach vibes. He might have cockroach vibes.
Or maybe in a weird, and I'm not saying that these two characters are alike, but maybe he's like more like Sir Kristen in the fact that he's like sort of naive at the beginning of this whole situation.
Right.
And then once he goes into battle and he's
Yeah.
like starts seeing bodies fall and starts to or gets introduced to the reality of the situation, he's like starts to take it more seriously. Because right now he's like taking this more as a joke. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean you could be right. I personally take his character as an extremely insecure individual that is attempting to find purpose for his life, similar to in a way that Adam is, but Adam I think has a lot more integrity.
Mhm.
I think this person is just the wrong individual that's trying to find purpose and trying to feel important, which is why he was always loudly boasting of who he was and who he was related to. Honestly, I thought he was going to get killed much earlier on because he's just loud. And now he's been given power, and I think that's going to quickly, as we see already, going to
Like
what's
go
the
to
word?
his head and
Thank you. That's the phrase I was looking for.
yeah.
Even more so.
The question I have is, did Hugh the Hammer's wife, did she leave him?
I don't think so.
We haven't seen that.
Yeah. I think she was
But I
trying
was
to get her
right.
not to go.
I was right.
Yeah, and then they killed her off screen.
They did kill off
They
screen.
kill her off screen.
With his daughter.
Yes, his daughter.
I told you that
sick.
was gonna be the catalyst though.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Ulf, Jace does put Ulf in his place at
Mhm.
least temporarily, which I
Mhm.
appreciated because everything now I got to root for anybody giving this guy the freaking work as far as the tongue lashing. And even at that dinner, like what did he say? Well, you better make me a knight then. That cage
Right.
guard
Yeah.
behind Rhaenyra,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was like, I gotta handle this.
And
Yo.
literally everyone was just like,
Bro, no, we're not
who
doing
are
this.
you? Like,
yeah,
what?
bro, you
So
bugging.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Why do you think Rhaenyra doesn't handle him more harshly?
She needs him for now.
But she could need him and still put him in his place.
Oh, for sure. I agree. But she's proven to be very patient with disrespect. I don't know. I'm a little
although
too patient. But
She has been patient, although she did say in that same scene that she wanted to kill innocent people when they
she said she had to. Like,
oh yeah, there's a difference. Like
there is a difference.
There's a difference. It's not that she wants to do
Yeah.
it, but she's saying bluntly what needs to be done, even though they don't necessarily, whoever was debating her on it. But in that moment, she didn't speak. She didn't say anything. She just kind of looked at him with intrigue. And it made me wonder, like, what? Take his tongue.
But you
What
also
is
have to
the
remember,
you are
like,
fascinated with taking people's tongues. Like
Am I?
you reiterated like several times. Take his tongue. Take his tongue.
Because he,
Why not his hand? Why not? Why not? Because I
because
guess
he can still
that's
talk
his mouth.
without
Yeah,
it.
his
Yeah,
mouth
yeah.
is getting him in trouble. But we also have to
Right.
remember, like,
well, no, I was thinking. Well, I guess that makes sense because they did take Jamie's hand. He's known as a really good swordsman.
Yeah, but we also got to remember, like, he's not used to being in high court, area.
It doesn't matter. That's the queen, though.
It is the queen.
One
Like,
thing
you
I
should
was
know.
excusing him when it came to Jace.
Jace. Yeah.
I was like, okay, he doesn't know who he is. He's not used to this. He's young. Maybe he's just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But as soon as that queen sat down and was by the way, knights behave a certain way. He's like, well, then you better make me a knight.
You fucking.
And by the way, give me some more birds.
Where's the birds? Give me more birds.
It's just like the definition of like somebody that's extremely like low class and all of a sudden is put into a certain position and he's still low class. But it's interesting because the other two come from a similar status in society, and both of them are just looking at him like, can you get it together?
Like, rather kill us all.
Yeah.
Literally.
Can't take it.
What do you think about Rhaenyra when she went to Harrenhal to confront Daemon? Like, bro, you didn't make a decision.
What was she gonna? I have a follow-up question. What was she gonna do? Because she said, "I will not allow it." When there was potential for him to be turning on her, she said, "I will not allow it." So you're gonna take Adam and go there with 2 dragons. So was the threat? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. No, she was prepared to do what she had to do.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, even though he has Caraxes, it's 2 against 1.
Yeah,
so they're outnumbered there. Obviously the army presents no real challenge for her. I mean, as far as I know, they don't have scorpions there to kill a dragon. No. At least I haven't seen any that were there.
Nope.
So she would have, in my opinion, been easily able to destroy him if she wanted to or needed to.
But
I think it was very smart on Damon's part to be like, you got this, man. Bay, cousin, whatever, uncle, niece, Bay niece.
Yeah, and this is to this point, all the scenes with Daemon and his visions and his nightmares and all that. This did serve a purpose to get to this point, and I'm grateful for those scenes because this gave a lot more power to this scene. And one of my other favorite scenes in this episode too, it was this scene. And he's like, he's speaking to High Valyrian. Winter's coming. I saw what I need to see.
Yeah, they dropped the line. Winter's coming.
Mm-hmm. And Valyrian, which I appreciated. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you are my queen. I'm here to serve you.
You are my wife.
Yeah. I should have never left.
It was when he took the knee that had me. I was just like, oh, you didn't just say it. You like submitted
and
yourself.
He already said it in Valyrian. He didn't really have to do that performative, gesture of like kneeling and all that. But that was to show, Rhaenyra, I'm like real serious about this.
Yeah. And they almost showed like a outward affection towards each other. I thought they were about to kiss. And
I'm glad
I didn't think they were going to kiss, but it did look like there was a moment there.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been kissing everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, like,
don't get me started on that.
I'm surprised she didn't just strip down in the moment. Like, take me here.
I mean, obviously that was a nothing burger because that came
nothing freaking burger, which you did say that it was probably most likely going to be, but it's still a point of contention with me.
And it's true. That's true too. This is also, but she's also a character that we don't see after that. Like what is that? 2 episodes ago when that happened.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw her in this episode.
No, what I'm saying is that she had. I guess as the season evolves, characters play more significant roles or lesser roles. But like after that scene,
she hasn't had any like pivotal.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't play like a major role in anything necessarily. So
I'm not surprised by that.
Well, no, I'm just saying it just further reinforces the idea that it was a nothing burger kiss. That was the point.
At least for this season.
Yeah, I mean now if next season we get a threesome, with the
God,
don't act all surprised like it's impossible that we're not gonna get it. I mean we got to see it with Daemon and his mom. So
my God. Anyway, well. In this scene too, Sir Alfred was trying to duck out.
Yeah, he was.
Where are you going?
And shout out to my guy, Sir Simon. He's like in the back, like slowly clapping his hands. Like he's so happy. You know what I mean?
He's just a genuine guy.
It is.
I feel like he's really genuine, but I really think he was confused.
I'm gonna be.
He's like, Really?
I'm gonna be devastated when eventually I know he's gonna bite the dust at some point too.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be
Aw.
devastated. You know,
Yeah, I
That's
haven't
what-
read the books, and you're ruining it for me.
I'm not.
but-
I'm not ruining
No,
anything.
that's
It's just.
not- he's
It's
not
just the
even-
reality of the
It's
situation.
just Game of Thrones. You live or you die, or you
maybe
live
he'll
and
survive.
you win or you die. Whatever.
Yeah,
it
you
is.
win or you die. Exactly.
Yeah, but Sir Alfred trying to like, yo, you're gonna get yours. Trust me. Nobody forgot.
Right.
Nobody's gonna forget.
That was I thought that was a really powerful moment. though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was great. And we wrap up. Well, the scene before the montage is the scene between Rhaenyra and Alicent, which sort of bookmarks the first time that they met this season. And I'm very sort of conflicted about this.
It shouldn't have happened.
I was going to
last
say
time.
it should have happened the
You
first
should have
time.
saved it right here. If you had them planning to meet all along, why didn't have to meet the first time? Once again, that makes that scene totally pointless and stupid. Because why would Rhaenyra go all the way to King's Landing?
I think both scenes in their own right present some challenges as well, as
Right.
far as like
logic gaps.
logic goes. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Rhaenyra sneaking into King's Landing and then Alicent sneaking into Dragonstone is
But
also.
I feel like it's way more viable for Alicent to sneak into Dragonstone than
Rhaenyra sneaking into.
Yeah, that's
Well,
just
yeah, I would say
ridiculous.
because they also did not show her like escaping either. Like they just
Yeah.
like there is way more propensity for something to go wrong with Rhaenyra going there.
Yeah.
But this is again a challenge because this is in a book, so they have no point of reference. Like this also seen as in a book because again in the books they have their fight, they have the argument. Rhaenyra goes to Dragonstone. They send a raven to each other, and that's it. Like they have no more communication, like essentially with each other from that point on. It's just war. It's just war between the two of them. They're really trying to paint this picture of like two friends who like genuinely love each other, who are trying to avert at all costs, going to war with each other because they know the reality of the situation of what's going to happen. And I don't know. I appreciate the scene. I appreciate the sentiment. I'm sure it was it was extremely well acted, especially from Olivia Cook and the turmoil that she felt in making the decision of saying, "Hey, you can take Aegon's head," because and even to the end, Alicent still trying to protect her child, which you give her credit for. She's like, well, if he can just bend the knee, and Rhaenyra's like, no, we know what's going to happen. We can't have essentially two rulers because then you're going to eventually have none. It's like that classic saying in the NFL: if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. So yeah, I mean, they threw in that little plot twist there, which I think helped. But anyways, and Danny, how did you feel about the scene?
No, I thought it was written really well. The dialogue is always great. I do find it, like I said, pointless. I feel like it would have been way better had they just saved this first meeting since since the war started. I think they should have saved it right here. It would have had a lot more impact for me. But I like Rhaenyra kind of standing her ground here and being like, "Yo, I'm killing your son. If I go over there, I'm killing him. I ain't got no choice. You know that. What you mean?"
And we finally do hear her say the word
son for a son. So that at least kind of confirms to me that she did say that to Daemon. And once again, maybe blood and cheese, just blood and cheese in it, and then effed it up. But yeah, overall, I thought it was the scene for how it played out. I thought it was really good. It's just the logic gap of the first scene really got me. Like,
I actually I do agree with you. I was like, if they would have made the scene like the first time that they meet is this time, it's the last time that they have. I think this scene is way more powerful than the other scene. But I also think that other scene was meant to sort of show. It was meant to get Alicent to this point, because if Alicent didn't realize that she made a mistake and they don't meet there, because that's the first time she recognizes it, then they can't get to this scene. because Allison is still under the false pretense that she was right.
Yeah, I think you can still get there.
Where else were she gonna realize that she was wrong, and realizing I you know what, I confused the two Aegons.
I don't think that I don't think, to Danny's point, I don't think that it would be necessary for her to think that she was wrong. I think the major points are that one of her sons is deranged, the other son is mangled and might as well be a vegetable at this point.
Has no dick.
Helena is
Darth Aegon.
Yeah.
On another plane somewhere. She's lost one of her grandchildren. The other son she has nothing to do with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this point she's been kicked out of the throne room. The acting king has nothing to do with her, or excuse me, wants nothing to do with her or her council. So I don't think it's actually necessary, to Danny's point, to have had that scene.
She would have reached that conclusion.
Right. She doesn't need to reach the conclusion like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Mm-hmm. The situation speaks for itself. Right, it's like, oh, this is not a good idea. Because especially with Aegon, even if she didn't realize it, Aegon clearly wasn't meant to be on the throne. Because look where he's at.
Yeah.
I have more to say on the yeah. But I was actually going to disagree anyway, because I feel that both scenes were necessary. Not necessarily for Allison to realize that she made a mistake, even though that's great too, but to see the dynamic shift, the power shift. Because with Rhaenyra running to Allison, even though you're saying logistically it doesn't make sense, it was showing her her desperation in trying to make something work, so there didn't have to be bloodshed, which is what she was trying. She was trying to maintain peace as her father had. Mm-hmm. Now she's changed her tune greatly, where she's just like, oh yeah, innocents are going to die. That's just the name of the game. Like, now I got these extra guys.
Real quick. Mm-hmm. Looking back on it, peace was never really an option for them, honestly, because when you really think about it, like, what was going to happen? What had to have taken place for peace to happen?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. But the point that I'm making is Rhaenyra was trying to grasp at anything to kind of maintain, because up to that point, right, to your point, they had already assumed the throne and were willing to go to war for it. What did you really think going to Alicent was going to do? Because now you're singing a completely different tune. It's like, oh, I'm going to take his head. Whereas just a few episodes ago, you were trying to figure out what could be done to maintain peace where it didn't have to go to.
Yeah, I guess Rhaenyra came to that realization, but this was always going to have to be her end game. Like, there was no other option, in my opinion, for her other than to take his head. Like, there was never going to be a scenario where they could peacefully live together with Aegon bowing and renouncing his claim. That was never going to happen.
I don't disagree with that, but I do think it gave Rhaenyra more so than it gave Alicent anything in that initial scene. It gave more so Rhaenyra validation to be like, oh no, you're actually wrong. Because I feel like even up to that point, she was second guessing herself. Like, maybe he didn't leave it to me. Maybe he really did change his mind. But I think it gave her validation at that point to be like, oh no, this is my spot. So now at this point, I'm going to do what I need to do to get to where I'm supposed to be, because you are not supposed to be there. I think for her, it was more so validation. So seeing that power shift, I think is really pivotal to the story personally, because I also think it's a part of the character arc as well. Mm-hmm. As Danny and think Ty, you said as well, I thought the dialogue was really well. I love watching Emma D'Arcy. I think she's extremely talented, and just watching her through the scenes.
Say that again.
D'Arcy?
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah, you did.
Darcy? Is it Darcy?
I think it's just Darcy.
Yeah, Emma Darcy. You said Emma D'Arcy.
Is it not? Does it not have an apostrophe after?
Yeah, but it's just one. It's just when you just say it all together, like Emma Darcy.
But I saw the apostrophe. I was like, oh, D'Arcy.
D'Arcy.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, Emma D'Arcy.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching. I think she's extremely talented, and
This whole
everything's on her
cast is just
face.
extremely talented.
Oh, yeah,
they do
yeah,
such a
yeah.
great job of just casting everybody,
Absolutely.
even down to like the small character, even down to Blood and Cheese. Right? They're only in for one episode, but they cast them perfectly. You know what I'm
Technically,
saying?
they were in other episodes. They just didn't have.
They weren't living.
But anyway, but I really liked the what I was gonna say is that was interesting, not just having a son for a son, but even I feel like Alicent was faced with the same choice that Helena was faced with in the first episode.
Mhm.
It's like, pick one.
I like that.
So I thought that was really interesting.
That's a good
And
point.
so I like that aspect of
Wow.
it.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
Wow.
Yeah, and then the good point that Rhaenyra also brought up was like, well, what happens to you now? Like, I forget
Mhm.
all the names she listed off.
do I just
but-
let you go?
yeah, exactly. Like, but yeah, I mean, that pretty much is the end of the
Like you
episode.
walked in here all freely.
You know, we get some montage. We kind of touched on the montages.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about the. It wasn't really a cameo because we know it wasn't Emilia Clarke, but we do get during Daemon's vision. We do get a shadow of Emma Clarke's
Silhouette.
silhouette of Daenerys
And the three.
and the
little
and the D dragon
dragons.
and the three dragons.
I hear people saying this is fan service, and once again, I don't think it's fan service. I think it's
What does that mean?
just to give like a head nod to fans who are.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't think fan service is like
Necessarily
a bad
bad.
term. Like, you know, like I don't think pandering is always like people have negative connotations with the word, but I don't think pandering is also always negative. I think it's positive too.
Well, I just think it served a greater purpose than that to begin with, to really get Daemon to think with his freaking noggin and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we see, you know, Daemon's fate kind of within that. He was like drowning or something. He was in a body of water drowning. So we, you know, a lot of stuff. Alice Rivers, and we didn't even speak to Helena just being in that vision too. And
yeah,
that was.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
Alice and Helena working together? I don't know. Are they seeing?
Yeah,
each
no, I was
other?
gonna say, yeah. I mean, that's also a good point. Like, are they working in cahoots? You know, is Allison? Well, we know no Allison. We know
Alice.
Helena can. I don't know. Again, we talked about it before. I don't know if she can actually see the future, but we know that she has visions and she's like interpreting like what
Maybe
she's seeing.
a dreamer or a green seer or something. She's a combination of the two.
Yeah, she's
some way.
something. And so yeah, it's just interesting. You know, are they in like cahoots with each other?
Yeah.
Do they know each other? Are they working in the same arena path? Like, you know, is the Woods Witch and Helena like, you know, on the same page? Like how they're communicating? It's just brings up some interesting questions.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I don't know, but I don't think they're working together at all. I think Helena is her own seer. And I think that she has insight. Like we don't necessarily know how it works, right? So he's having the vision that's being revealed to him.
That Helena is she's the voice that you're actually hearing in that scene. That when Daemon is having his vision, it's Helena's voice. So that's why there is that connect. We're wondering if there's a connection between the Woods Witch and Helena. But go ahead.
But what I'm saying is, how do we know it's in real time? Like, I don't know how to explain it in terms of, I don't necessarily think they have to be working together for her to be speaking to him through his visions. I think she has capabilities.
Maybe she sense a disruption in the force. And
Right.
Like, oh, I gotta speak on this.
There we go.
In the force. Well, without being so yes. I think, you know, how do we know that that's not a prophecy he was intended to see that she's already put out there?
Right,
and it's not in that, it's not like her live working with the Woods Witch or whatever. So it's not to say that they can't be working together, but I don't think it's as simple as that. They could just have, you know, similar. I obviously the Woods Witch is a much older being.
Right.
But I think Helena is kind of forcing her own thing. And at this point, it really makes me question, especially after her interaction with Aemon, how much are you playing stupid and how much do you actually know what you can do?
I mean, she told Aemon like, "Oh, you gonna die."
Yeah, exactly. And he's just
And
like, I can have you killed. And it wouldn't change anything, bro. So
Right. She's like,
he's
"Oh, you gotta
it's
do."
cold. It's that was
Oh.
cold. And Aemon is shook too.
He was shook. Yeah,
yeah.
he was like, "Yo,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
world
he
is
was shook.
falling apart right now."
Right. And
And-
also, how do we know that Alice and Helena aren't one and the same as well? That's a stretch, probably.
Yeah, that is.
but
I'm glad that you recognized it. When you
it's a
said it.
stretch. It's a stretch. I understand it. But I'm just saying in that moment, because again, that moment, that scene had me questioning everything about Helena. And I'm just like, well, how do we know that maybe Alice isn't using Helena in that moment and speaking to Aemon through Helena? Because she was a completely different character at that point. That's why I said it's a stretch, but it's things, my thoughts.
You made that stretch more than Simone.
I don't get it.
All right. Any other?
Anyway, we'll see we'll see in season 3.
Yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps up the episode.
pretty
I
much.
mean, that's really. I mean, we talked about the montage at the end, and you know, they really
set up that season 3.
yeah, they
real
did.
good.
They did a
I
great
was like,
job.
by the end of it, I was like, damn, season 3 about to pop off. Damn, I
Right.
wish season 2 popped off like this.
I know, man, because I kept checking the time because once it got down to like 20 minutes, I'm like, how the hell are they gonna fit a battle in like 20 minutes?
They weren't.
I was
They
like,
had no intentions.
exactly, man. They had no intentions on this damn battle. And the thing is that the way, if you looked at the trailer for this episode, the way that they cut it made you
Of
think that
course,
there was
yeah,
going
of
to be a
course.
battle this episode.
Thank God I don't see the trailer.
I know,
before.
but it's just like
Yeah,
the
I
way
didn't
that they
either.
set up this whole season. It was all about them converging at Harrenhal at the same time. Like when Rhaenyra showed up at Harrenhal, I was like, all right, maybe this is it. Like they got everyone hyped up, you know, they gave that speech
They
and
did
everything.
the hurrah
He was
speech.
like, for every 100 that falls, one of us dies or something like that. And you're thinking, yeah, all right, man, like this is it. And like some shit about to pop off. And then nothing.
Gave
like,
the whole rah-rah speech for nothing.
Nothing.
Where are we going?
Oh yeah, 2 years later, like we're still
Well,
Shit.
Take 5.
the thing is,
take
like,
2. They take 2 years.
Yeah. The way the season played out, the second half of the season, when we got to this point, I was like, we can't go anywhere beyond this season. Like maybe one more battle and that's it, but it's not gonna be conclusive enough to like really let you feel
like, what are you
satisfied.
yeah, I agree.
So
I agree.
yeah,
Maybe
the
it'll be a
whole
mini-series.
the second half of this season, I will say, the pacing wise,
and that's
getting to anything was off.
and that's why I'm very interested because you know, hold your pants here, guys. We got to basically about 2028, 2029 for this to wrap up.
My God.
I'm so interested to see how they make this thing last another 2 more seasons. Because I feel like next season, realistically, in my opinion, should be the last.
I agree.
With the way that they
Honestly,
set
I
up
thought this was
everything,
gonna
I
be
feel
the
like
last season.
season 3 should be like the end.
They
But
can't
they
have
got
another
2
season.
more. They got 2 more seasons though.
They can't have another season like
No,
this
they can't.
again.
They can't do it.
They can't do
And
it.
I know they lost people.
Yeah, they
Like I mean, we're still committed to it.
Yeah.
Like you know, but I'm not gonna say a lot of people, but they lost people. They're like, all right, I'm done. Like this was
this
it was a waste of time.
burger of a season. I
Yeah.
don't feel that way personally, but a lot of
Yeah.
people, if you felt like that by the end of this episode, I can't really blame you because really,
Yeah.
when you look back on the season, what really happened besides
Rhaenys
Rhaenys dying?
Yeah, I thought there would
Yeah.
be like more stakes and even if you were gonna have this, I'm not saying that. I felt like the first 4 episodes were so good, and there was so like there's a lot of tension there, and then the tension just like went away. Like there was no
because they built towards nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's all building towards season 3.
Yeah, season 3.
But I felt like that at the end of season 1. I remember feeling that way, that season 2 was
Really?
going to be dedicated towards the battle. Like we were going to
Yeah,
see the actual
Yeah,
war.
right.
And for a
And
second
now-
there, it looked like that's what we were gonna get.
Right.
When they had,
But a lot more happened in season 1 though. Too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, even though there was like no real like battle scene, like we got an episode, what was it, 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like so much more happened in season 1.
Yeah.
And I think also
Yeah.
part of that is that the showrunner from season 1 is no longer there. He stepped away. He stepped down.
Okay.
But I felt like in season 1, like every single scene that they had was like must see.
It really
like
mattered.
It did. Like they did such a great job of like creating this tension between these two families, like and building it up over the course of 10 episodes. And I just felt very, because it sounds like I'm disappointed with the season, because I'm not, but it just feels like it was really just anticlimactic.
Yeah, you just expected more to happen.
Yeah,
at least one more battle.
I felt like there was gonna be at least one more person that died.
If it was like the triarchy and the sea snake battle, that could have been enough. That could have been like, okay, hey, some casualties, whatever, something, man. Just I don't know. But once again, I'm not disappointed in this season, because I still found it entertaining. Even this episode, like we had lively conversation about it, so that speaks to the strength of the episode.
Yeah.
It's just it just wasn't a season finale.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed. I still enjoyed this season, but I do think it's one of those things where they're dragging it out, and I'm just like, you can end.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I mean,
that's okay.
I felt that way with, I'm happy that we got to where Daemon ended up in his story arc, but I'm like, it also felt like that dragged too. I felt like Rhaenyra, like, I felt like every time we saw Rhaenyra, she was like in this conundrum. Like, she was like, do I do this? Do I do that? Like, do I exert force or do it?
Right.
She was always in like this perilous position. Like every time that we saw her, like every episode, it was like, all right, it's kind of getting a little bit
do some action.
Yeah, exactly. Like make a decision or something.
Yeah.
Come on, girl. Like, I got some of the storylines that they did. There were certain like episodes where it's like, all right, this is like repetitive. Like we've seen this,
Yeah.
and a part of that is like they're stretching it out because there isn't a lot of like material necessarily in the book either. So,
which I think that George R. R. Martin even alluded to.
Yeah, he did.
Said,
He did.
It's like, good luck. And that's why they're adding so much dimension to these characters and adding extra plot lines and characters.
And that's why like a character like Nettles would make sense in the show.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like you could have done a storyline.
Like, I don't know how you give Rhaena that Nettles storyline and you still have her do nothing.
That's a very good point.
Insane.
That is a good
That's
point.
insane. That's the only, if I had any real negative feelings towards this season, it's Rhaena's storyline from beginning to end. Like, what a waste of time.
I know. She got the short end.
You really gave her the short end of the plastic, man. For real, man. Jesus. Do better.
Well, maybe they'll make amends.
I hope
2 years from now. I just like but that's the reality, man. It's 2 years from now, man. I think that's also a part of it
that's
too.
That's part of it for
it's
sure.
It's just like, shit, I gotta wait
we
2
waited
more years,
and this is all we got for it.
I mean, I'm not making a comparison about this was like how we felt with season 7 with Game of Thrones, but
no, because this was way better.
Really. No, this is way better. But like,
it does have that feeling of like, come on, man.
If they were cranking out, we're about to get season 3 next year, I'd be like, all right, I feel like I'll be way more on board with it.
Yeah, I think that probably should have been the move, honestly.
Yeah,
have a season
but we are getting
a new show.
Yeah, we are getting a new show next year, but it won't be House of the Dragon. It'll be a spin. I forget the actual name of it, but I know it's like based on the Tales of Dunk and Egg.
Oh, right.
That's fine. I'll take it because then at least it's something.
At least it's something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why also they were kind of cool with this season playing out the way it was, because it was like, all right, not an excuse, but
yeah,
I'm just so conflicted because I really did find the season entertaining. I wasn't bored by any episode. I feel like episode 6 was the weakest episode. That's still the weakest episode for me. But yeah, man. I mean, what can you say? We are in 2 years.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to us for the past 8 weeks. I do want to give us a round of applause.
Yeah, let's do that. Can we? Y'all can clap at home, man.
Yeah, man, for getting through 8 weeks of sticking with us throughout this entire process of doing this every week. Even last week when we didn't actually physically meet in person, we still were able to pull off an episode. You know, resilience, man, resilience. Kind of like Rhaena.
Imagine what we could do when we put our minds
I
to
know, it's crazy, man.
Look, I got a new setup.
Yeah, no, Tamika got a new setup. We got a whole mic. We discovered that, Danny can do this, Well, no, not discovered that you could do it, but you were like experimenting with stuff.
Right,
That's what I
right.
mean. Like,
yeah, definitely experimenting with editing and all that stuff.
yeah, and the videos, they turned out great. I mean, the reels turned out great. So just thank you guys again for just continuing to watch, because again, more people watched than I expected it to. I'm like, oh man, people still continue to watch after this episode. I mean, naturally there's going to be like
diminishing returns.
But that's because that's what actually happens in each episode too.
Yeah.
Like,
especially with this season.
Yeah,
it did not help House of the Dragon with our retention, motherfucker.
So angry.
I know, damn. But
no, thank you guys.
Yeah, but no, thank you guys, and more content will be putting out. We're gonna take a little break here to rejuvenate and get ready to push out more stuff. Come the fall, and anything else?
No, I'm good.
Thanks for a great 8 episodes.
Yeah, great 2 months, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something fun to look forward to each week.
Yeah, don't have it anymore.
The next season, my son will be 4.
And yeah, a lot could happen in 2 years.
A lot could happen in 2 years. This is true.
Are you gonna send us out or?
Yeah. Until next time,
tired.
film fans.
See ya.
House of the Dragon, Dragon D's, House of the D's.
Dragon these nuts.
You guys are so appropriate. Look how little Michael was.